Hey guys, so I just want to clear up some confusion. I've been getting a lot of questions, and it seems that some guys think that I'm advocating that, everybody must have a fleet of CNC mills in order to make knives, and all those mills have to be decked out with, multiple pallets. And it's just not, it's not what I'm advocating whatsoever. So, just to clear it up, if you work yourself to the point where you get a CNC mill, which I recommend, because it's one of the biggest levers that you can pull on your time, because it will outproduce you while leveraging your time, right? It's not like you've got an employee. It's a much greater lever than an employee. So if you decide to take the plunge and get a CNC mill, I wouldn't even necessarily recommend that as a first step for everybody. It just depends on their situation. You can start with a small CNC router, right, and do your shell trimming, right? You can make your vacuum form tools, and you can do your handles, right? So all those things are very valid options. But when you get to the CNC mill stage, you don't want to marry a pallet until you've proven that you need to make quite a few parts, right? So if you have a model and there's loads of demand, by all means, load that table up, get as many parts on there as possible, because the objective is truly to buy the ability to have your interaction spaced out, right? You want as few interactions as possible, and you want the longest time between those interactions possible. But if you've not proven that you have the demand for a given item, the place to start is with vise-based fixturing. Okay, so my personal preference is I use the Carve Smart jaws. So I have the Tormac 4-inch CNC vices, and I put the 4-inch Carve Smart jaws on there, and the Carve Smart jaws have a dovetail in them, and that dovetail accepts a aluminum extrusion that Carve Smart has made for them, and you just cut that to the length you want, and you've got custom jaws. So I will put those in. I'll put a spacer between them of suitable thickness, and then I will machine just a step, right? I'll machine usually about 1/8 of an inch over, right into the jaw, and I will machine the depth of the material, right? So if the material is 1/8 thick, then I'll machine the step 1/8 of an inch thick. So each jaw will have a 1/8 by 1/8 shoulder cut into it, and those steps will be the same as each other. That the bottom of them will be in the exact same plane, right? So what that enables you to do is to grab onto a piece of stock and just do one, right? So quite often what I will do is I will leave my 3-foot length of A2 precision ground tool steel intact, right? And I'll run the material up to the end of the jaw, call that my stop, just put my finger there, right? It's close enough. And I'll run the part, and I'll slide it over, and I'll run another, and I'll slide it over, and I'll run another, right? And that's if I intend just to make like that 3-foot length into parts. If you've not even committed that far, don't slide it over, just make the one. So the way I do this is I use tabs. Okay, so that's a bit of a skill set in and of itself, but you can Google that, or you can hit me up for more information. But the tabs enable you to then flip it over, right, and machine the other side, and then at that point you just nip those tabs and grind or file them off, and you're good to go. So it's an extremely inexpensive, extremely efficient way to make blades, and you can get into some decent volume doing it this way. I would just do your small quantities, make the limit somewhere around 10 before you start thinking about, if people are asking for them, then you need to get a pallet going. Well, a pallet will cost you a fair bit more money, but the productivity gains are much more meaningful. So if this is the kind of thing that you want to learn more about, by all means hit me up. I have different packages available. You can join the DGA, you can join the Productivity Hub, or if you're really balling out, you can enlist the help of the vertical integration package, or if you're really, really balling out, you can go and ask for the concierge service. So, but what I think is probably best for most people is to join the DGA, because then you get me one-on-one to hold your hand and walk with you through these obstacles, through this journey, and I can point out all the pitfalls and help you avoid all the things that I've learned to avoid over the last several decades. So I hope that's been helpful and cleared up some of those questions, guys. Don't be afraid to comment and to tell me what else you want to know about.